We'll let everyone online kind of get logged in as well. But thank you all for joining us today for the Lunch and Learn. We have Dedee Boring today, who's going to be sharing her presentation. But before that, I'm just going to run through a couple of quick slides. I love that. We got a big cheer here in the audience. So real quickly, my name is Sarah Shellum. I am our communications manager here at Quest Trust Company in the Austin office. But if you are unfamiliar with who we are and what we do, we are self-directed IRA custodian. We help people use their old 401ks or IRAs to invest beyond publicly traded investments into non-traditional private assets. So one of those things, of course, multifamily, real estate, private notes, and that's one thing that we'll be talking about today. But we also provide a lot of education. So not only are we the custodian, but we're also an educator. So classes just like our Lunch and Learn today. We have self-directed IRA Saturday that we do. It's an online class every single Saturday at noon Central. We also have self-directed IRA socials in the evening, so a little bit of networking, a little bit of education as well. Those are on the first, second, and third Tuesdays consecutively for each city, which is Houston, Austin, and then Dallas, and that schedule stays the same as well. And then, of course, like I mentioned, our Lunch and Learn. So those are going to be kind of the same thing, first, second, and third, but the Thursday instead. So those, again, noon every Thursday, except for some of those last Thursdays of the month. But of course, if you can't make it out in person here, like we have some of our people here today, we also stream them online. I'm sure that there are quite a few of you on there taking advantage of that. If you do miss the class, though, we are going to record all of them. So you can always rewatch them on our YouTube channel or on Facebook. So we have a couple of promos this month. Of course, our refer promo is always going on. If you want to send somebody to Quest, they'll get a credit towards their account as well as your account. But we also have another really great one that I want to talk about that's not in my PowerPoint, but it is our Texas two-step promotion. So right now we are running a promotion for the month of March that says if you are ready to open your account and you move some money in, we're going to actually give you some money back. So you'll get a $125 credit, which actually takes care of your first transaction for opening an account and, of course, making that contribution or getting the funds into there. So a little bit of an incentive if you have a deal ready to come up. Now might be a good time because that first transaction will be on us. So that's kind of the Texas two-step. You open the account, then you put the money in. So a little fun there. This is our next really big event that we have coming up. It's kind of, you can compare it maybe to the expo on a much smaller scale. But this is going to be our one-day crash course conference called the Masters of Tax Avoidance. We've got just a couple of great speakers here, probably about double that, maybe even more since now we've got some even new speakers that have joined on since then. But we're going to be bringing a lot of new faces to the stage as well. We have 4 brand new speakers that we've actually never had at Quest, so they'll be able to provide some new information, new insights, brand new panels that we're creating. And then very recently, we have also cut those ticket prices down. So if you are a client and you want to come to this event, it's going to only be $25 for you. And actually, if you saw from walking in, I've got a couple of golden tickets that will get you a free ticket to the boot camp if you're willing to drive to Houston. And then, of course, those online as well. If you want to take advantage of the boot camp, just put a little note in the chat box that you would like to maybe win that golden ticket. And we'll be giving those out at the end of the class today. I have about 3 that I can give out. So just let me know. But if you don't get the golden ticket or you want to share the event with somebody, you can scan this QR code. That'll take you to the event page. And then my last slide, if you have questions about any of the events that we do, any of the education, self-directed IRAs, just want to run something by us, these are all the ways that you can contact us. You can call us via phone, go to the website. We've got a live chat box in there. I think actually one of our representatives here in Austin's on it today, so say hi to Juan. Or you can just scan this QR code. It'll take you directly to a consultation page. Pick what time that works for you. Without further ado, won't take up too much of your time, right on the money, 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Dedee Boring. She's going to be our speaker for today. She has hosted classes here in our office. I know that she runs her own meetup as well, WIMFA, which is a women's RIA. But today she's joining us to share some education for our people. So let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm trying really hard not to be very nervous right now. Where's the clicker? Okay. So today, I want to say thank you to Quest for asking me to do this. I'm very honored and thrilled and scared and all the same thing, all at the same time. But I know most of you, and you're all my friends, so we're just going to relax. We're just going to relax. But I'm going to talk to you today about leveraging your genius. And we have a friend, Roman Leal. That's his last name, right? Roman Leal, who will say, we'll go look at a deal, and he'll say, Dedee, we just need to leverage our genius. That's how we're going to do this deal. We just need to leverage our genius. And I'm like, Roman, what does that even mean? What does it mean to leverage your genius? And then 2 nights ago, I was at dinner with a bunch of really successful women, and one of them looks at me and says, what's a lesson you've learned? Okay, well, I'm 50, so like we want to narrow it down. I mean, I've had a lot of life lessons, right? So it's like in marriage and with kids and business and what do you mean? And she's just like any of them. And I've thought about it a lot while I was preparing for this, and I learned how to, through the years, I've learned different lessons on how to leverage my genius in order to do whatever it is that was being asked or accomplished during that. So there's that. Okay, so this is the part where most people during a talk will give all of their credentials and they'll tell you how fabulous they are, and all of that's super, super boring to me usually, so I'm going to skip that. If you want to know about me, I have a bio on a website. But these random things that I'm going to talk about are, one, that I'm part Cuban. I danced in the Nutcracker every year at Christmas when I was younger. I worked for a church for 9.5 years. Which largely makes me want to talk to, I could talk to 200 children with ease and no nervousness, but you guys, I'm like, it's okay. My husband and I have had an advertising agency for 18 years, and I work with my kids. So this lovely lady, I'm going to start with, I was raised by a single mom, her daughter, and she did great things. My mom did great things in her life, but she had a very limited perspective of what her capabilities were and what she could offer the world. And I've often wondered why. And the reason is, this is Georgia. Georgia was grandmother. She was not Mimi or grandma or granny. She was grandmother. She was very proper. But she lost her husband in 1948 and didn't know what she was going to do to support her 2 children. So she had a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. Wasn't sure how she was going to support them. So she leveraged the only thing she knew how, which she was in dance companies that toured the country. And she opened up a woman-owned business in 1948 and was the premier dance teacher for 40 years. So that is how she leveraged her genius. Part Cuban. So this right here, this lady right here is my sweet Mima. And Fabiola was born in Cuba, and she was born into privilege. She was part of a sugar cane plantation. Her dad was a sugar cane plantation owner, and they aligned with the wrong dictator. So they went with Batista instead of Castro during the revolution, and so they lost everything. She married my grandfather, a cute army guy that was stationed in Cuba. They came here, started a new life in West Texas. And she became this is her photo from whenever she became a citizen in 1952. From that, from her experience of being a communist at one point in time, she leveraged her genius and said, this wasn't a great experience for me, and I can see that there's so much more to offer in America, and I want to share that with others. And she was especially proud of her involvement in the JFK campaign. So, well, I don't know why that's not like that, but this is in my office, and this is the Mona Lisa of Cuban, and it's hanging in the not all the part at the top, but if you notice at the top, it's for International Women's Day. It's the poster in Cuba. So they may be communists, but they do celebrate women. So there's that. But this is the Mona Lisa of Cuba, and her name is Gitana Tropical or something like that. But I just think she's fabulous. So wanted to share that since we're talking Cuba. So this is the reason. That's Bryce right there with the basketball holding it in front of my face. Always trying to steal my shine. No, I'm just kidding. So I did grow up with, even though I had those ladies in my life too, I didn't really understand all of that. When I was younger, and my mom would say things like, you know, girls aren't really good at math, or you go to college to get your MRS degree. How many of you guys have heard that before? Yeah. You go to college to get the MRS, yeah. So I did not really feel like I had, I don't know, my scope was limited. It really was, even though I had these great women in my life too. I just didn't feel like I had what it takes to go to the next level of different things or to think bigger. So one day I was working in the Mother's Day Out, and this woman comes up to me and said, I think you need to apply for the director of children's ministry for our church. And I'm like, what the heck are you thinking? Pretty sure I haven't read the Bible fully. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that should probably be a prerequisite. But she's like, no, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And she was very right about all of that. And I thrived in that environment. Once that I had someone else tell me what I could be good at, I was able to say, you know what, maybe you're right. And I took that and I thrived in that environment. Every once in a while, did I have negative thoughts and like, what am I doing? And you know, I did, but I knew I loved children. I love me some Jesus. I can plan an event, and that's basically what children's ministry is. And so that, what I learned there, basically, the lesson from this, was that I can do more than I thought, and that usually other people can see that before I can see it. So if somebody tells you, hey, I think that maybe you should think bigger, I think maybe you can buy more real estate, or you can think, instead of thinking, you know, a duplex, or maybe you should look at something that is 60 units, and you're like, oh no, I don't think so. Maybe listen, think a little bit, say, maybe I can. Leverage your genius on that. I also learned from this, and I put it on a slide and then it got taken out, but I also learned that I can delegate to others, and that because I'm letting other people do something and make it their own and have ownership in it, that usually if it was a vacation Bible school or Sunday school or whatever event it was, usually it turned out better than I could have ever done it if I'd Lone Rangered it. So then, SDB Creative Group. So that's the advertising agency that Shane and I still own. Sadly, that's the only picture of SDB that I could find, Shane. I know, I'm not in a lot of them. So there we go. We have a really cool Christmas tree for SDB. SDB Creative Group. So we had that for 14 years or something like that whenever we decided we wanted to move from Midland, Texas, when our son graduated from high school, and come to Austin. So Shane started working in Austin and developing relationships here and working here. And during that time, that meant leadership in Midland needed to be me. And I thought, again, self-doubt, limited beliefs. I don't know the advertising business. Even though I had done all the HR for this company and had been there every day, I didn't know the ad side. I didn't know the business. And I thought, I'm too busy. I don't want to learn it. I can't learn it. And I had no choice. That's what had to happen, and that's what was needed. So I learned it, and I took on a client list, and I made the decisions for the Midland office, and I fired people, which I never thought I'd be able to do. It was terrible. But I hired and fired, and I did all of the things. So that led me to this next lesson, which is change can be actually exciting, and I'm smart enough. And I think that that's a limited belief of whenever you get into anything that's different, it's like, do I have what it takes to pull this off? Most likely you do. So I'm going to encourage you all that I'm smart enough, or you're smart enough, we're well-abled. All of us are well-abled to lead teams, which leads us to this one. So in 2020, a pandemic lesson that we learned was that our clients didn't need to see us every day like they used to, or every week. So we moved here, and while everybody was on lockdown, Shane and I were moving a house and remodeling a house. And during that time, our two youngest ones, the ones on the end there, our two youngest ones were in college and were not taking to online learning. It just wasn't working out for them. So we decided to, and Shane and I were kind of getting to the point where maybe advertising isn't as fun as it used to be 18 years ago. It's kind of analytical now, not as creative, and we wanted to pivot. So we looked at some franchises, and we looked at, I think he needs to be let in. We looked at some franchises and some other business opportunities that we had, and we landed on multifamily or commercial real estate, and did all the training and all of that. But we realized that while we love our family, sometimes it's not, we don't know what they're good at as far as how we would work together as a team. So we did a lot of work to figure that out. We did a lot, some personality tests and just trying to, and it wasn't easy. It honestly was not really easy. But I will tell you that we know Shane has 30 years of business experience. He is a master of CRMs and Excel spreadsheets, one of the smartest people I know, and has been a business leader for 30 years. I mean, that is what we need to use him for, and take advantage of that genius that he's led a business for 30 years. We know that Bryce, who's over here, Bryce is our underwriter. He's always been excellent at math. Why would he not be excellent at underwriting? He's so good, and we leverage that on our team. And I'm in complete awe of him and how I have loved watching every bit of one of our children taking a lead in our family business. That's been just such a joy. Blake did not like real estate, which is cool. That's fine. We needed to recognize that he did not really love real estate. So he is now, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look it up what his title is, but it's like he facilitates, he's a recovery counselor. That's essentially what he is. He's a recovery counselor for a drug and alcohol recovery high school that is at UT. It's called University High School. So super proud of him for doing that. He's really growing in that position, and he's still an owner of our company, and he helps out where needed, but that's kind of where he focuses. And then Anna's our social media influencer, and she's a lot like me in the way that she can put on events and do some of that, and she just helps us out with all of our social media. And Max is probably the one that is the most enthusiastic about commercial real estate, even though he's 20 years old. He's so excited about starting at this age. And really wears a lot of hats in our office. My favorite hat is that he's funny. And sometimes commercial real estate is really stressful. And so you need some levity in the situation. And so don't underestimate that for sure. So lesson 3 was discovering and utilizing our geniuses, build stronger teams. Lone Rangers don't do multifamily syndications well. And that is, I don't know how to explain that any more than that. You have to be a team. So we had to work as a team to figure out what our geniuses were in our team. And when you go and create a team with others to take down multifamily deals or self-storage deals, it's very important to figure out what everybody's good at. Because if one person is doing all of it, you're not going to be able to have it done as well, like I learned at the children's ministry job. Whoa, that is not quite what it looks like on the screen, but so got a lot going on there. Anyway, which leads me to the next one, is that I learned that leveraging my genius also meant giving back to others and making them stronger. And so WINFA, wow, I'm getting teary-eyed. WINFA is a little networking group that I started because I did not have any friends. And I moved during a pandemic, and I wanted some friends. And I thought this would be a good way to get them. And we'd have common interests and do things together. So I thought that would be fun, like win-win. It turned out to be a lot bigger than that and a lot more than I ever imagined. So that group grew from 2 people coming to lots of people coming in Austin, and then I met somebody in Houston that wanted one in Houston, and so we started one in Houston, and then all of a sudden Dallas and San Antonio and Denver, and I just got back from Dallas, from our Dallas meetup, and WINFA is helping women discover that generational limitations that have been put on them by years and years of women not feeling equipped to handle their family or their personal investing, and getting rid of that and trying to overcome that. And I had no idea that's where it would be taking them. Not a clue. I just thought it would be us, like, go women and let's go build, relationships and build teams. And the more and more I talk to people in WINFA, it is really the goal of it is to empower women to feel confident in walking into a room with a bunch of men and being able to have those conversations when they don't feel like they're adequate to do that. It was birthed because I wanted friends, but also because I went to several events where it was 80%, 90% men, and women were very underrepresented. And that was really what the goal was for WINFA, is to represent. But it is definitely more of a ministry and a lot more than I thought it was going to be, and it's really awesome. So thanks, Janae, for being part of that. Which means I learned that I can create value for others and contribute to something way bigger than myself. Second part of that is that I can contribute to something way bigger than myself that I never thought of. And I can continually evolve to help service those needs. So my question is to you, if you had somebody in your ear all the time saying, you can do this, there's nothing, you have no limits, do you feel like you would be able to leverage your genius and move the needle forward to get through and meet your roles? So or whatever it is that you're trying to do. It doesn't necessarily have to do with commercial real estate. But one of the things that we hear all the time is, I think I'm going to start small. I think I'm going to start with a duplex, and then I'm going to work up, and maybe in 5 years I'll get 20, and then I'll do 40, and I'm going to start small. And I think that's an easy route. I think that that's an easy way to. But is it? I never did single family, so for you out there that did single family, is it easier? And is it easier to do things on your own, or is it easier to collaborate with a group of people and do something bigger? And if you want to leverage your genius, all the lessons that you've learned in your life, I mean, there's a few of us in our 20s here, but most are not. So all of the lessons that you've learned in your life have equipped you for this day, for this moment, and this opportunity. So last one was, are we related to Elon? And the answer is no. So we're Boring & Co., and that's actually our last name. I married a boring man and have 4 boring children. That guy just digs holes, so there you go. Maybe one day. But thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I know. And I meant to say happy day after International Women's Day, because we can celebrate it all month. But that's what that one picture is celebrating. That right there. See if you can, up there. I guess it's Spanish, English, French, and something else. I don't recognize the 4th language. Yeah. So that was their flyer in Cuba or their poster for International Women's Day. I don't know what year, but she is the most famous painting in Cuba.
So are you sponsors in multifamily?
Yes.
Or you do your own private?
No, we're deal sponsors. I did have another slide in here, and I added it after I sent them the slide because I didn't realize they were going to put the slide together. But yesterday we just did due diligence, and we're closing on a deal in Forney, which is storage. So, Forney, Texas. We looked at it. We did all of our market research, and we saw the growth, but we hadn't actually been there. It was insane. Just massive development for thousands of homes. Dallas really is just doing this. So there's a lot of room for investing and growth in that Dallas area, that in places that you may not think of, that's not just Dallas proper. It's those, yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
And how long have you been doing this?
So since 2021.
Oh, wow, so
We're newbies, yeah.
you're but hopefully successful ones.
Yeah, well, last year was tough. Last year was a tough year, but all those lessons we learned from that, we're putting it towards this year. Just keep learning.
And where did you get your training?
We are part of the Multifamily Mindset Network, so that's Tyler Devereaux's group, and but yeah, that's largely it's from people here. I was mentored by a woman named Kim Windland from Quattro Capital, and she is not part of a network, I don't think, but she's been doing it a little bit longer and has a little bit more experience. So we got a lot of education from her, one-on-one, she was just pouring out of the goodness of her own heart. She was just helping us. So.
Well, when you do real estate and you do it right, you'll find people that want to help you succeed.
Yeah.
That's the abundance mentality.
Yeah, I fight that all of the time, though, and I don't know if everybody else does or not, but living a life with abundance mentality is a struggle for me, and so my faith helps. My faith helps, but it's a constant every day getting up and saying you live a life of abundance. God has provided you everything you ever needed and more, and He will continue to do that today.
We have a saying,
Yeah, and you are enough. Yeah.
we have a saying that everything that you have done in the past or before prepares you for what you're about to do. And it really is, like my husband and I, we're also in real estate. It really is. One of our first dates was going to a model home.
Oh,
And it
that's
really
funny.
took me for a realtor.
Oh, that's great.
It's like, why did it take us so long to get involved in real estate with you on me? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's everything that prepared us. And so if you are cognizant, then you recognize opportunities that are being put before you.
Yeah.
So if that's what you, that really helps you prepare to take advantage of good opportunities.
I agree. I do think years and years of being a business owner has helped. We've helped grow other people's businesses too. So we're kind of well versed on a bunch of different businesses. I could tell you a lot about eye LASIK surgery. I mean, plumbing, heating, air conditioning. Those are our clients, and we've helped grow their businesses. So that's been a lot of our experience too, is helping them grow. So
And then you also have now great subcontractors that can help you with your business.
yeah, absolutely.
And so do you mostly focus in the Dallas area?
No, anything in Texas, really. Our daughter is in Colorado, and we have some Denver contacts because there's a WIMFA Denver that didn't really show up well. But there's a WIMFA Denver, so we would love to do anything in Denver or in Colorado's growing just like every place else. But, it's way too pretty not to grow. So we would love to we're open to anything, mostly. I say anything, good states that don't have rent control. Those kind of anythings we're down for.
Landlord friendly.
Landlord friendly. So, I mean, yeah, that's it. I will say that we did this year as a family, as a company, decide to pivot towards storage. We just felt like at this point in time, multifamily is struggling and it's a little bit hard. I think it's going to be really great at the end of the year and there's going to be a lot of opportunity. But storage is really good now. So we are focused on storage right now, and there are some really great opportunities out there.
If you can get them for the right price and then provide your investors with a healthy distribution, storage is great all the time because when people are successful, they buy too much stuff and they need extra places to stay. And
Yeah.
when they're being evicted, they need a place to put their stuff, and it's a lot cheaper to put it in the storage unit.
Well, yes, and there's lots of factors of why storage is good, and one of them, or some of them are homes are smaller. The average size of home is smaller, but we have more stuff. So we can easily get more things on our doorstep, and here in Austin, like 4 hours. You know, you can easily get things delivered. I think because now it's harder to get a home, and what people can afford is harder, so they're having to be in apartments longer. So those, you know, we live in a beautiful place here, and people have kayaks and fishing poles and all those are things that are storable. So we have more things. Housing is getting smaller. People are staying in apartments, which is good for multifamily too. That's a great thing. But there is right now it seems like storage does appear to be recession-proof. I hate to say anything's recession-proof, but it does seem like that's a good place to be right now. All the people that I know that have been in storage have said yes. So, because people kept ordering things. Yes. Oh, okay, so this is kind of interesting. Blake unexpectedly had to get, oh, yes. The question was, explain the benefits of owner financing and self-storage. So our son Blake had to unexpectedly get a storage unit this weekend. And I was walking through the storage with this woman that was showing us everything. And I said, you own this place? And she, yeah, I've had it since 1997. I think everybody here will know, and you online, that if you've owned something in Austin since 1997, the equity that you have in that is off the charts, right? So right now, that Forney deal that we have, that was the same story. He has, you know, insane amount of equity in that place, so he is our bank. Yeah. So now he's going to get passive income for the loan term. For 10 years is the loan term. I mean, that's not our business plan, but to say 10 years, but depending on the market, that's what we'll do. But
Better financing in the bank that way.
it was 5%.
There you go.
It seems like
Yeah.
the biggest factor slowing, and I read a CRE, article that said that 60% of multifamily investors are planning on investing less than half of what they did in 2023 versus previous years. And the number one reason cited for that was uncertainty in commercial financing. And so if you think about this uncertainty in commercial financing as being a big driver of the problems right now in multifamily, owner financing is almost a perfect solution for that, because it takes those issues right off the table.
Yeah, I think that the other issue with owner financing for multifamily, if you have somebody that's owned that property for a long time and they don't have any debt on it, you're probably okay. Maybe you can assume the loan, or you know, if it's a fixed rate, you would want to assume that loan. And there's a lot of opportunities for that. But I think where you're going to see a lot of them in trouble in the next few months is that they had those rate caps, and they're now, you know, they're upside down. Yeah, so they can't refi. Nobody wants to refi that. Selling it, it's hard to get loans now for multifamily. It's a little trickier. So that's where multifamily does seem to have some disadvantages right now. I do think it's going to be overcomable, and I think that there's going to be some great deals. I continue to be bullish on that, but I just don't think it's right at this moment. So, yeah, Bryce actually, for those that didn't hear it,
Taxes, that's what you said.
Right, that's gonna bring your NOI down.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, insurance and taxes. Can that be like death and taxes? That's not what you talk about at a party. Did you guys ever hear that? Never supposed to talk about death and taxes at parties and politics, right?
And religion.
Yeah. I'm bold on that. So, but yeah, religion and politics, you're right. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity in storage because there's still mom and pops, and that's what makes it different than multifamily. So it's not investors that own these properties, it's that woman that has owned it since 1997, you know, a CPA in Austin that just has had this property for a long time. I said, you know, you can seller finance that. I could get you an LOI. She was like, well, give me one and we'll see. So you never know. But all of that to say, that is definitely something that's intriguing about storage is that there's a lot more mom and pops that are able to do that seller financing because of their equity in the property. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Well, now there's no questions. No, just kidding.
So you say you learned some lessons last year and that caused you to pivot into self-storage? Do you want to
Yeah.
elaborate?
Oh, I try not to go back on past angst. Yeah, so the question was, what were our lessons from last year? Our lessons from last year are pick your team wisely. Number one, pick your team wisely. Know who you're going into business with and who you're partnering with on a team. Number two is sometimes things are out of your control. And I have a saying, there's a solution to every problem unless you're dead. Nobody's dead, so there's a solution out there. So I kept fighting and fighting and fighting for our investors for these deals to keep them going, and it was killing me, like physically hurting me. And my husband finally said, the solution to this problem is to walk away. So learning to walk away and understand that the solution might be to walk away is hard when you're losing $200,000. So there's, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah. So it hasn't always been rosy, but I feel like for us, we have to acknowledge when it is time to walk away and that all things have been exhausted. So we went under contract for some properties in May, and what happened in June? Interest rates went up. So our investors went, oh, I think we're going to do half of the investing that we're going to do. You know, so we had a lender issue with one and an investor back out with another, and just because of the market. So some things that were out of our control on that. Yeah. And just, I don't know, I use my network. I'll say that. Use your network, use your network. I'm part of, besides WINFA, I'm part of CRE, which is Commercial Real Estate Women. That's nationwide. So if you guys out there might want to look into that in your neck of the woods, is what the weatherman used to say. Huh?
It might be hard for me to join.
Why, well, no, it's not. CRE is open to men as well. As is WINFA. So CRE is open to men. We have lots of men, actually, in the Austin one. Yeah. So it's a really great organization. It's bigger. So CRE is all-encompassing. It has architects and engineers and vendors like pest control and security. And so it's a big commercial real estate umbrella. So it's multifamily, but it's also office development, retail space. It's not just narrowed down to maybe syndications or storage or multifamily. Where in WINFA, we're concentrating mostly on multifamily or syndications and teaching and providing support for that. So both are good. Both are good. So, and WINFA should be growing to Miami soon and Seattle possibly. Yes. Oh, we have WINFA on Facebook, so it's Women in Multifamily, but in Multifamily Association on Facebook. But if I can just get your email, I'll put you on the list. We'll just do it that way, since you're here. So if you want to know about WINFA in Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Denver, and Houston, just go to our Facebook page and Instagram, but we're more on Facebook, and LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn page as well. And we're working on a website. Prolet is doing our website, so it's exciting.
Well, you won't be the first and you won't be the last. You're not the first, you're not the last. It's, people are hoarding their money right now because of the economy. And nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming.
Yeah. I don't know if hoarding is a good idea either. So, I mean, I think investing in real estate is really a safe spot for your money too. You just have to be really confident in your sponsors and how they run the property and the team you're working with.
I'm going to be very blunt. I think a lot of sponsors are delusional because they're going to get paid whether the property performs, whether the investors get their distribution, and until sponsors say no, this is too much for the property because I have to take into consideration taxes and insurance, which has gone through the roof.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
There's-
sitting on the sidelines this year. I'm not buying one single multifamily.
Yeah.
I've pivoted somewhere else, so.
Storage?
My little secret.
Okay. No, I agree. I think that valuations for properties were absurd, and they're not. With insurance, we looked at a property in Clear Lake that it's close to NASA. I mean, you'd think NASA would have flood control and all of the things, right? I mean, it's like across the street.
But telling investors what they want to hear, knowing full well that more than likely there's going to be difficulties along the way, and that's what I have a problem with.
So you might have heard, we underwrite conservatively.
Yeah, but they say the same thing.
Yeah. We underwrite conservatively. Like anybody's one, we're off the chains. We're like risky. Yeah.
So, in this environment, I mean, one of the reasons why valuations got the way they were, seems to me to be because ready capital, tons of capital being put into investments. Do you see capital drying up now for the short term at least for private money, or is that still tons of private money out there ready to invest?
Yes and no. I was just got off a call today for, I guess, Sandra Taylor from Dallas Crew. She's a president-elect of Dallas Crew. Spoke at an event in Dallas that I was at, and she said they're working with a fundraiser, like a capital raiser for their team. She called him a sugar daddy. So I spoke to somebody like that too today, a sugar daddy, and he was saying that it's the deal that we're looking at. It's hard because the debt's been hard, and that is not something that we dealt with last year. We dealt with getting investors to invest and getting that side of the raise done. We could find debt all day long. So I think that for smaller deals, it's hard, and then for really, really large deals, it's hard. It seems like something in the middle, you can still find some money. It's just expensive. So until things kind of level out, it's just, which kind of tends to make the deal not work. So there's that.
What are you calling, what do you consider middle, Dedee?
So middle would be probably 15 to 30 or 40 million. I think small is anything under 10. There's just not a lot of debt for that right now. But anything middle range, I think there's still some interest in that. It depends on who you talk to. Some people are like, oh, Class A is where it's at. You should always go Class A. And then, I mean, a lot of people are worried about C's because, can they afford the value add? And right now, there's just only so much value add you can force on people and how they can afford it. And for the bank, you can't really underwrite anything more than about 3% of a rent increase, which, I mean, the conservative underwriting that you probably saw, a lot of was 15 to 20% on rent increases for year one, and that's just not probably going to happen. So those value add things it just has to be pivoted on the play, I think, on how we're going to see value add. But I am by no means an expert on that, so I don't know. There's other people in here that probably know more than I do about that. But that's my observation. And also the reason why we pivoted ourselves. Yeah. Sure. Well, all right. Anybody else? Well, thank you. I'm like clapping for myself.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that class. And now we're going to open it up real quickly just for deal pitching and networking. If anybody wants to come to the front of the stage and take the mic from me, feel free to, if you have a deal or if you have a service, you can share it with everyone in the audience or those online. And if not, we'll just break for networking. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Anybody want to come up here? Alrighty, well, no worries. Well, that will conclude our Lunch and Learn. Like I said, thank you for participating. And if you'd like to take advantage of the golden ticket, then just let us know.
All right. Hi everyone, my name is Miriam Garby. I'm a realtor with Texas Premier. Got a listing that we've been under contract a couple of times. I don't know why it's not selling. It's a 2-bedroom condominium. I'm the lowest price in Austin. We're asking for $235. There is a possibility of owner financing with 25% down, 6% interest. We don't want to do more than 3 years balloon, so don't ask for 8 or 10. My guy is 75 years old, so we're not doing that. So I got that, and I have another listing coming up in Hutto. It's a 4-bedroom plus a study. Priced reasonably, $399. Also that we have owner financing available with 25% down, similar terms. So the condo is off of south of Mopac. Actually, it's like very close to Domain, off of Burnett Road. Very nice location. It's an older condominium, very nice, just cute, 800 something square foot. So absolutely. I mean, of course. Oh, I forgot about your own. Okay. My cell phone is 512-914-8326. That is 512-914-8326. Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking it. All right, anybody else? Good deal. All right, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at our next class.